Hey now guys, what is happening? Back with another video to show you guys my latest epics that came in. Should have come in on Tuesday, but I had some issues with the post office, so they came in on Thursday. And I finished one of them today, that being X-Men Fatal Attractions. And also this one that just came in, Ultron Unbound, Avengers West Coast Volume 7. Which I'm going to start reading tomorrow. I'm going to start reading this one. But for those of you who are unfamiliar with this tome, it is the celebration of the X-Men's 30th anniversary of being in publication. They basically take on Magneto, who was the very first villain that the X-Men took on. And a lot has changed since the time they debuted in 1963 up to now, 1993. Basically, Fatal Attractions, for those of you who don't know, is pretty much a big game changer for the book's direction. And I remember my older brother, a quick story guys, I promise I won't bore you with this, but my older brother just stopped collecting comic books right around this time to go off to college, and it was when I started reading comic books pretty regularly. I've since stopped collecting individual issues, sadly. I mean, the quality of comic books just went down. I'm sure you guys can agree or disagree, whatever. So now I just rely on trades and the memories, the 90s nostalgia here. Man, such great writers. I just remember in Uncanny X-Men, you had like Scott Lobdell, John Romita Jr. doing the artwork. Scott Lobdell did the writing. John Romita Jr. did the artwork. Then Joe Madureira stepped in later on to be the penciler. Of course, you got inks from Dan Green, you know, the inkers who are also the artists. Dan Green, Mark Farmer, a lot of guys, a lot of unsung heroes were involved. And then in that was Uncanny X-Men. And then I remember in X-Men, Fabian Nicieza and Andy Kubert were doing, they were the team. Nicieza was the writer, and Andy Kubert was doing the art. And his brother Adam Kubert was the artist or the penciler for Wolverine at the time. So the brothers were with the X team. And I remember Nicieza also was writing for X-Force. You had Peter David doing X-Factor. And then, of course, Scott Lobdell for a little bit did. And J.M. DeMatteis did X-Factor. Also, Joe Quesada, before he became editor-in-chief, was the penciler there. There was a lot going on. And I just, the kid in me, the 13-year-old who was picking up these issues and reading them, it was good times. Fatal Attractions, basically, guys, for those of you who don't know, again, spoiler alert, so if you don't want to be spoiled, turn off this video now. This is pretty much where a lot of things happen, a lot of things change. And specifically in this book, Illyana Rasputin, or Rasputina, is Colossus's little sister. She succumbs to the legacy virus, which is tantamount to the AIDS virus crisis that was happening around that time, killing off mutants, the legacy virus, which was created by Strife, who was Cable's clone. And right at the end of the Executioner song, in the epilogue, it was revealed, you know, the legacy virus, which was opened up by Mr. Sinister, care of Strife. And this led to a lot of mutants getting sick and dying, including Illyana, who was a New Mutants member. And then, of course, during, was it Inferno, she reverted back to being a child. And she went back to live with her parents. And so anyway, she succumbs. She dies in issue 303 of Uncanny X-Men. And then Colossus is just grieving because he lost his brother. He lost his parents. His parents were murdered. His brother, Mikhail, that was his name. And I read that it was like in Bishop's Crossing in one of the previous volumes. How did he die? It was suicide, right? Yeah, right. It was suicide because he was with the Morlocks. He became like the de facto leader of the Morlocks and just like committed suicide with them, like let this water flood the tunnels and they drowned. So basically, I mean, imagine that, guys, being Colossus, losing your brother, your sister, and your parents. And the parents were like murdered, just like viciously murdered. And now his sister dies of a virus, a disease, a plague, you know. And it's just, so he decides to jump ship from the X-Men and join Magneto's acolytes. And of course, the Acolytes are giving the X-Men trouble. Magneto's giving them trouble. So it's just a big free-for-all. 304 of Uncanny X-Men is the prelude to that. Also, guys, as always, I posted the rundown of each issue in this volume in the I always say community. I keep thinking communications. The community tabs. Community tab. Maybe they should change that, right? Anyway, the community tab has a breakdown of each issue in this volume. Check it out. So I'm just gonna breeze right past, guys. But anyway, it leads up to an X-Men 25 and Wolverine 75, where Magneto rips out the adamantium from Wolverine, and Xavier mind wipes Magneto. And for those of you, I'm sure you know, because it was a pretty big thing. A couple years later, about, was it 95, 96, Onslaught. That's how Onslaught was created. And actually, I found out, interestingly enough, Magneto had planted something in Xavier, which created Onslaught. So it was like a bug or like a parasite when Xavier mind wiped Magneto. Apparently, Xavier had contracted a bug from Magneto, which was a trap by Magneto, and it eventually created Onslaught. Now, hopefully, we'll get to that at some point. I don't know how long. This is volume 23, by the way. I don't know. That's probably that's going to be volume 26, 27 maybe? When we get to the Onslaught issues. I don't know, guys. But we got a long way to go, especially with Uncanny X-Men. But there's a lot. There's a lot here. Let me see. Uncanny X-Men 301 to 306. What else? X-Men 24-25. Wolverine 75. X-Men Unlimited #2, which X-Men Unlimited 2 was about Magneto. And it even reveals that Magneto was born in 1928. And I'm wondering, which makes sense, that because he was in the Holocaust and he was a survivor, but that would make Magneto now 94, right? 94? No, 96, right? 96, excuse me. If he was born in 1928, and he's still alive, I haven't read comics today, but Magneto would be 96 years old. I wonder how they got to make him immortal, right? Or kill him off. I don't know. But that's in X-Men Unlimited #2. Pretty good story. It's actually from the point of view of a soldier who, Magneto, he murdered his brother. And so this guy is, planning and plotting his revenge to get Magneto. It's pretty cool. Very, very humane story. And Gambit 1 to 4. I actually am glad now in hindsight that they included the Gambit limited series. There was a 4-issue limited series that they did with Gambit from 93 to 94. Really cool stuff. It really finally ended the whole Belladonna storyline and the Assassins and Thieves Guild, which I remember the cartoon, the animated series, did. It was called Externally Yours. Introduced those characters, and in this issue, that limited series of Gambit finally told that tale and concluded it. And I remember, was it X-Men 8, issue 8? They also had Belladonna, bother the X-Men and Gambit and stuff. So that was the conclusion found in this story. And and then of course the Guide to the Mansion, which is like 40 pages of the intricacies of the X Mansion. I really liked it though. I really recommend this book a lot. It's $50, guys, $49.99, but it's well worth it. 520 pages, which makes sense. A $50 book better be at least 520 pages. All right, let's go see, let's look inside, and I'll show you guys why this book is really awesome. All right, guys, so I'm going to show you the inside of this book, and hopefully you guys can get an idea of what you are in store for. I'll just breeze through quickly. It's 520 pages, like I said, guys, valued at $49.99. We start with, let me just move this over here, with 301 of Uncanny X-Men. You got John Romita Jr.'s artwork, which I'm not really a fan of. I'm not a fan of his 90s work. I thought it was, I don't like the way he drew faces. They're just a little too weird looking. I don't know. His 80s stuff is cool, but yeah, I'm not a fan of the 90s stuff. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. If you're a fan of Romita's stuff. Yeah, I'm on the fence really about his 90s work. Just not really all that good. But I do love Scott Lobdell's writing, Fabian Niciesa's writing. This was like prime 90s 90s stories. This was actually the last issue that my brother bought before he went off to college. This was Uncanny X-Men 302, and I'll never forget this final panel right here of Jubilee and Kitty Pryde coming in, which of course leads into the death of Illyana, and really sad stuff, but see much better artwork, I think. And also look at the shading, the inking and drawing, really cool stuff, really 90s stuff coming out of the headache of the 80s. Although I think the 80s artwork was actually getting much better. Andy Kubert, love his work back then. Fabian Nicieza as the writer. This was a really good one because Gambit and Rogue have a night out on the town. Leads right into Uncanny X-Men 304, Fatal Attractions, where during Illyana's funeral, Magneto makes his presence known and is like, I'm here, guys, and I'm offering you salvation. Join me. And they're like, fuck you, Magneto. You're the bad guy. We don't want you. We don't want to be a part of you. You betrayed us. But really, really awesome stuff. Just cinematic works of art. I don't understand why the movies have not written some of these stories. I don't know why the X-Men movies have not come together. Oh yeah, X-Men Unlimited #2 is basically a story about Magneto. Another long epic story. It's like 60 pages long, guys. This coupled with the Fatal Attraction issues, Wolverine 75, Uncanny X-Men 304, and X-Men 25. It's like a lot of reading here. Then you have X-Men Unlimited 2, which is also 60 pages. I think the Fatal Attraction stories are like 50 pages a piece. And then you get some really odd stories, 305 of Uncanny X-Men. This really, I don't know what this was about. Xavier asks Storm to steal some information about the Magneto protocols, which is a contingency plan of what happens if Magneto loses his shit and wants to take over the world. We're back to John Romita Jr.'s artwork, 306, where they face Cameron Hodge. Xavier wanting to get some Danger Room action against Quicksilver, and that was pretty cool. And Bishop and Beast are watching. And actually, that was the first inkling of the Phalanx. Oh yeah, Forge and Storm reunite. So by this time, Cameron Hodge has hooked up with the Phalanx, but they don't mention the Phalanx by name. That won't be until like another year, until the Phalanx Covenant storyline. God, this artwork, like her lips are just stretched. That's Candy Southern, by the way, Warren's girlfriend, who was dead, and he thought she was dead, but she came back temporarily, and then they kill her off again. Pretty sad stuff. And then Gambit's miniseries, written by Howard Mackie and penciled by Lee Weeks. Really, I really enjoy Howard Mackie's writing with X Factor, with Ghost Rider, and yeah, he makes you really like Gambit. Gambit takes on the Thieves and Assassins Guild. Wolverine wants to tag along, but he's like, no, mon ami, this is for Gambit. Gambit do it on his own. But of course, he has no problems when Rogue wants to join him because they're in love. It's kind of cute. I love this artwork. See, just beautiful. This is Lee Weeks once again. I don't know why they have to draw Xavier's eyebrows so big like that. I like Xavier. Xavier is my favorite character, but damn, I remember the animated series was like so big and so popular, and I don't know who influenced the other. I don't know if the comic influenced the animated series or vice versa, but they were so entwined with each other that, or is the word intertwined? You guys know what I mean. But and I remember the X-Men in the animated series, it was called Externally Yours, which was basically Gambit dealing with the Thieves and Assassins Guild and his family. But this limited series, it's a 4-issue limited series, expanded upon Gambit's story. I love the artwork. Man, could they make the logo any bigger, more obvious? But yeah, I actually was never like a huge fan of Gambit. Not that I disliked him, but he's just like, he talks funny. That's all it was. He talks that Creole language. But in this book, they make him really smart and charming. Yeah, he's dealing with Gideon is involved in this, the external, but he's not really in the story. He's just in the background, behind the scenes. And Rogue, sweet, beautiful Rogue. Oh yeah, this chick is Chandra, who's the benefactress who likes to play the Thieves and Assassins guilds against each other. And then we're back to X-Men 25. This is the Fatal Attractions issue. Andy Kubert's writing. Magneto, really awesome stuff. I love this page right here, guys. Little cameo from the Fantastic Four. This right here, it's like you got my guy Xavier and the blue and gold teams of the X-Men right there, old and new, together, and they're just planning on taking on Magneto and the Acolytes up in Avalon. Of course, it doesn't go well for a couple people, like Wolverine, who loses his adamantium, and Magneto, who loses his mind because Xavier shuts it down, and that, of course, plants the seed for Onslaught a couple of years later. Look at that right there. And just, yeah! Actually, in the description, they say he doesn't scream, but it looks like he's screaming, guys. It looks like he's getting his adamantium pulled out of him from his pores, and it does not look like that feels good. And then it continues right into Wolverine 75, which is now, they've defeated Magneto. Xavier shut down Magneto's mind right there. And Colossus has left X-Men and joined the Acolytes. And now at 75 of Wolverine, they have to basically fly the Blackbird back home to Earth, similar to when Phoenix had to pilot the shuttle and she became Phoenix. I should say Jean, when Jean piloted the shuttle and became Phoenix. It's similar to that, but they also have the added stress of trying to keep Wolverine alive, and they don't know how because they have him hooked up to this meta unit that's coming apart, and they have to keep the Blackbird steady as it's returning, in re-entry back to Earth. And they survive. Spoiler alert, again. Yeah, he sees Illyana. Wolverine sees Illyana, and it's death. It's basically death tempting him to come to the other side. And Jean makes the last Hail Mary play to rescue him from the grips of death. And he comes back. And then it just jumps 2 weeks later. I know I'm jumping ahead, guys. It jumps 2 weeks later. Hold on. Like they're going through free fall, re-entry. And then, 2 weeks later, we made it. We're back on Earth. And now Wolverine's, trying to recover. And he pushes himself in the danger room and he just pops his claws, which are now bone. And everyone's like, oh my God, what? Oh my God, somebody go down there, turn it off, or turn it off, because he's in the danger room. Turn it off, Professor, turn off the program. Oh my God. It's just, it's a whole bunch of noise, guys. But it's fun. It's fun to see how much everybody cares about Wolverine, the ultimate loner. He's got bone claws. And at the same time as that, his healing factor is going wonky. And as we know from when I was reading Wolverine, this was, Wolverine Volume 7 to the Bone, X-Men 25 and Wolverine 75. So rereading it again was actually a lot of fun. And then you get this heartfelt letter that Wolverine leaves for Jubilee, which you can barely even read. I dare anybody to know what he's saying here. I mean, I was able to decipher it, but man, they use this really squinty cursive font that is barely legible. And by the way, Wolverine doesn't talk like this, but they made him seem like he has a heart of gold, which he does, But they made him very erudite, is what I'm trying to say. But he leaves the team because he feels now that he doesn't have his adamantium, he can't pull his weight along with the group, and they probably don't need him. And so he says, hasta la vista, hasta luego. And then, of course, we had the X-Men's survival guide to the mansion, which was pretty good. I mean, not really that important. It just shows you the inner workings of the X-Mansion, Cerebro, the Danger Room, the mansion, the War Room. Lots of really cool stuff, but ultimately not really all that important. Just, the layout of the mansion, everybody's room, the Morlock tunnels, pretty good stuff. Like I said, Cerebro. And yeah, and then you get the extra bonus stuff in the back, which is par for the course. And that is pretty much it, guys. I Gave you the rundown on X-Men. I think what I'm going to do for the future is I'm going to read the Avengers West Coast, and then I'll do like show you guys the inside of the pages. I hope you guys have read these books probably before I did. It usually takes about a week or two. I get them from cheapgraphicnovels.com like this, and hopefully you guys don't go through the drama that I did with the post office, those bastards. But I got my books finally. X-Men and Avengers West Coast. This one's going to be the next one I read, Ultron Unbound. And as soon as I finish, I'll show you guys the inside of that book if you haven't seen it already. I just want to get knowledgeable to know what's happening, so I sound like an expert and not, a dilettante. I know I use a lot of big words, right? I went to college. All right, guys, that's pretty much it. That's X-Men Fatal Attractions Volume 23. In a nutshell. Hopefully it was good. If you guys have any questions for me, please leave the comments down below and I will answer them as best I can. You guys know I always answer. And if you guys would like the rundown, I don't know if I mentioned it before, but I did put it in the community tab as always. And yeah, guys, that's it. Expect another review in a couple of days. Oh, and I will say this too. I already put in the order for my 300th epic. So that's going to be, that was, or will be rather, it will be Thunderbolts Volume 2, Wanted Dead or Alive. I really wanted X-Men Fatal Attractions to be the 300th book, but it didn't work out that way. But it's okay. This with Avengers West Coast is like $298, $299, and then Thunderbolts Volume 2 will be my 300th book. And once I finish reading the Avengers West Coast book, I will have read 150 books out of 300. And if you guys know your math, that's halfway. I will be 50% of the way done once I finish Volume 7 of Avengers West Coast. Pretty good. 150 books down, 150 more to go. So I'm getting there, guys. Little by little. I think I'm going to be reading these epics for the rest of my life. They're good. If I'm going to do something for a long period of time, it might as well be reading epics. All right, guys, that's it. I hope you enjoyed this. Again, leave your comments down below, like or dislike, your choice. Subscribe if you want to or don't, but continue to enjoy these videos and the epics that Marvel is continuing to pump out. And I think the next one will be Avengers Volume 11, The Evil Reborn. That comes out May 21st, and then May 28th we get Spider-Man Big Apple Battleground, I think. So we got a long ways to go for this year. Anyway, blah, blah, blah. I talk too much, but I'm having fun, guys. Take it easy, guys, and have a good night. Bye.